pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We can stand in a moment of reflection. You may be seated.
The clerk will call the roll. Please correct the pronunciation of your name if it is incorrect, and don't forget to say proxy for who is here, who is not here.
Aloko, Anderson, Baldinger, Venegas, Brazier, Coulomb, Koviak, Cumby, Zapolito, Davis, Dorsey, Dorsnowski, Erler, Greer, Rye, Goggin, Gay, George, Gopal, Hopkins, Hunter, Iftikhar, Jacobson, Cassetti, Keenan, Kern, Kirby, Lemery, Lewis, Blusry, Matthews, Manwaring, Middleton, Modica, Makapusia, Pigford, Primus, Ryan, Dams, Sanders, Santiago Cedillo, Sheridan, Bergen, Dilkert, Tapia, Kalaka, Violet, Von Cannon, Walker, Watley.
With the quorum being present, is there a motion to approve the Journal of October 22nd as found online? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now in line for general orders of the Senate, beginning with reports from Senate leadership. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette, you are recognized.
Hey everybody. Rules met 5:30 Sunday. We went over 8 pieces of legislation today, all of which were found favorable. Chairperson Koviak and I discussed going over the rules of procedure one of these days coming up and going over the gendered language since everything in there is labeled as chairman, just chairperson. Delegation reports are going to start next week. We'll go half next week, and then the week after we'll do the other half. Who knows who I'm dressed as? Really? Yeah. Brian Moser from Dexter. Thank you. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The Speaker Pro Tempore yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the Academics Committee. Chairperson Koviak, you are recognized.
Hey everyone. Things are gonna be a teeny bit different than normal. Just with covering for Sebastian, he wanted to talk a little bit about his piece that's going to be coming out of academics soon. And with him, so I just wanted to give him a spot for that in a second. But I'm gonna do the general committee report first. We did look at 2 pieces of legislation that had been referred.
Excuse me, we shouldn't be talking. Thank you.
Thank you. We did look at 2 pieces of legislation that had been referred to committee. 112 had been found unfavorable as there was an issue about just fixing something that had been in the language. So it's going to go through. And then we found 113 favorable. So that was kind of the main things. And then kind of looking at different topics of what we're looking at, and also the fact that there will be 2 pieces of academic legislation coming out today. One to expand the definition of immediate family for immediate death, like immediate family deaths for students with excused absences, and one to possibly develop a relationship with the app Corsical. But with that, I'm going to give Sebastian a couple seconds just to talk about what his piece of legislation is looking at is, in case any of y'all would like to come vibe in academics for like a little bit to work on that with him.
Yeah, that might be a little bit.
Maybe a little bit difficult.
Yes, perfect, perfect.
Hello, I apologize for the way I came today. I'm currently in the process of developing a legislation to create a non-honors University of South Carolina specific history course. There is one, but it's exclusive to honor students only, and I think that more people should learn about the impact that this university has had on South Carolina and on the nation.
So yeah, if you're interested in working on that with him, please come hop into academics or just come find him. Thank you. But with that, I yield my time to questions.
The senators yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the Finance Committee. Chairman Matthews, you are recognized.
Good evening. Hope you all like my costume. I thought it was pretty creative.
Mhm.
So this was a big week for Finance Committee. We reviewed $47,395.16 and approved $42,579.58. Thank you to Finance Committee for all of your diligent work. Those were some long meetings. I yield to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Health and Safety Committee. Chairwoman Cumby, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. We met last Wednesday after Senate, and we found SBL 117, 112 unanimously favorable, along with SBL 117, 113. We just kind of went over just things that we're working on for legislation. We're researching about possibly getting bikes that are impounded by USCPD like over the summer and like making like a bike rental program through that because they're basically free at that point. And then also going to be working on we're also working on researching like birth control at USC and other institutions in South Carolina and how they navigate that. And then also thinking about like bike safety lane because there's a lot of close calls. And then we also have our wonderful little like drink safety week coming up the second week of November. So on November 11th from 4 to 6, we'll have a self-defense class, and that will be with USCPD. So come so you can learn some awesome moves. And then we'll be doing tabling from 11 to 2 on Green Street / Davis Circle on the 12th and 13th, dispensing drink covers as well as drink testing kits. And I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? And any of those events are an unexcused absence that can be removed. Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Judiciary Committee. Chairwoman Diapolito, you are recognized.
Hey guys, Judiciary met very quickly on Friday on Teams. We reviewed SBL 117, 112, and 113, which were both found unanimously favorable with one abstention. We also finished up our last three bills for the finance codes. Those will be on the first reading calendar today. And we worked with Student Life to make an amendment to SBL 117, 113. We just realized the language was a little bit incorrect. And then 117, 112 is going to be tabled for now. There was a bit of a miscommunication on my part, and so we're just gonna table that indefinitely and fix it up so it's fresh and new for you guys. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the Liberties and Representation Committee. Chairwoman Hopkins, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, happy Spooky Senate. I have some exciting news today. So me and Daniela have been working on a piece of legislation to like have a new initiative where 4 times every school year there's like a donation for citations program. So we're like in the process of creating that, and we sent it to the Director of Parking and Transportation for review, and he said he absolutely loved it and is really excited to get that implemented. So that is going to be hitting the Senate floor next week, and we are meeting with him to write out a more detailed proposal for his staff to fully understand. So that is exciting. We got something cool done. And then today we met again with the Anne Frank Center, and they basically gave us all we need to draft the legislation to help them translate some documents that are only in German, but is one of like only 6 books in the world. So that's pretty cool. More people will be able to enjoy it because I don't speak German. So maybe it's really cool, or we'll see. And then also we are planning a like day event with them to educate students about the like Anne Frank Scholars Program, which basically you do some kind of service act or some kind of grant initiative, and then they sponsor you, and basically you can go to meetings all over the world, and it's really cool, and they sponsor students here, but not many people know about it, so we're trying to get some students to learn about that. But yeah, I yield the questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Chairwoman Anderson, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. Powers met at 5:15 on Monday, and we reviewed SPL 117, 112, and 113, and we found both unanimously favorable. We had 2 interviews this week. Peyton Ward was found favorable and will be joining the Senate wait list, and Carter Holden was found unfavorable by a vote of 3-1. The committee was looking for more elaboration in interview questions and ideas, and with that, I yield my time I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Student Life Committee. Chairman Spurgeon, you are recognized.
Hi, we met at our normal time. 112 was found unfavorable. There's a few people just had some problems with the idea. 13 was found favorable with, 113 was found favorable with an amendment that Kiki drafted. I'm sure we'll be talking about a little bit more. And then, oh no, was it 109? I don't know the name. Sorry, guys.
Chairman Spurgeon. It was 108.
108. Oh, that's right. Oh man, I'm sorry. That's bad. All right. Yeah, 108 was found unanimously favorable. So, I yield the questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Sustainability Committee. Chairwoman Gopal, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. I'm really proud of my ears, by the way. I didn't have ears, so my roommates made them out of my hair. Anyways, really? I know. I didn't have ears, and she was like, yeah, I can do it. I was like, all right. Anyways, SBL 117-107 was found favorable from 4-0. SBL 117-112 was also found favorable 4-0, and then SBL 117-113 was found favorable from 4-0. We have our monthly networking lunch, sustainability lunch, November 14th from 12 to 1 at the Pavilion. So if anyone is interested in going, please text me. And then if the legislation about recycling bins gets approved, then I'll meet with RHA again to further that. I met with Marietta yesterday. We've done a lot of recycling, so we're going to start moving on to like composting and how we can kind of move that along. And then Froco is having a thrift shop in February. They're going to put it out in January, but I just figured I'd tell you guys if you have any like closet clean outs coming with the holidays, because I know I clean out my closet before Christmas. So if you have anything, you should keep it and bring it in. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Before we move into a report from freshman council, are there any freshman council members shadowing today? Or is it just people giving a report? Okay, if you're shadowing, just come on down and you can find a buddy. Like, maybe come sit next to, does somebody want to raise their hand? Right down there. You can sit next to Taylor. She's in the pinstripe suit. Awesome. But we are now in line for a report from the freshman council. Are there any representatives present? Y'all are recognized.
Okay. Hi, I'm Zara Shakur.
I'm part of FROCO in the Liberties and Representation Committee, and I'm studying international business.
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm also part of the Liberties and Representation Committee, and I'm studying poli-sci and marketing.
Okay, so we had a few updates. So coming from Liberties and Representation Committee, which is what we're both in, today we had our first tabling event outside of the LSC, and we were the first committee in FROCO to have an event, which was really exciting. Thank you. Our event was called Spooky Sweets and Suggestions, where students were able to scan a QR code to fill out a suggestion for the school or student government as a whole, and took candy after we ensured they completed it. We had around 90 responses from various people and are going to use these to advocate for students' needs and plan future events to hopefully initiate some of these ideas. And the most prevalent issues and suggestions that were brought up were cultural events on Green Street, similar to Hip Hop Wednesday, but for other groups. Microwaves around campus or in study areas, better way to track retail swipes, more welcoming for sophomores, specifically those transferring into honors, and improving the water flow on sidewalks around campus so they don't flood every time when it rains. And we don't currently have any planned upcoming events. However, we plan to talk about it in our next meeting on Monday. Coming from sustainability, they have an upcoming, I know this was like previously just talked about, they have an upcoming sustainability pop-up event on Green Street, February 17th from 11 to 2 p.m. And they're currently working with the community shop and RHA to plan on hosting a competition to see which residence hall can donate the most used clothing items. And the winning residence hall would win a pizza party from the committee's budget. These donated items will be collected and inventoried, and then on February 17th during Green on Green, they'll host a free pop-up shop for students to thrift these items, with the remaining going to the community shop. And their goal is to promote sustainability by reducing clothing waste and providing free/low-cost clothing to students through campus partnerships, while also increasing awareness of the Gamecock community.
Next, from academics, they're having their first tabling event tomorrow from 10 to 2 on Davis Field, and they invite anyone to join them. They're going to be advertising for their school supply drive, which starts on the 30th and goes to November 13th. They've partnered with United Ways Midlands and will be passing out lists of the items that they are requesting, and then donations for the drive will be collected and put in the LSC. Then for Health and Safety Committee, they're planning and budgeting for their Brain Food Bar event, where they're making trail mix. And they're also working on their spiking awareness event by finalizing ingredients, presentation topics, and contacting Mixology and the USC PD for safety materials. And then lastly, Student Life are planning their first event, which is Finals Fuel Station on December 5th from 11 to 2 on Davis Field. They're going to provide hot chocolate and coffee for students during the exam season, and they welcome anyone from student government to sign up closer to the event. Specifically, they're in the process of submitting their funding requests and their graphics. I yield my time to questions.
The representatives yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Good job, y'all. And whoever was shadowing, just go take a seat now next to Taylor. She'll put her hand up again. Thanks. We're now in line for a report from the Constitutional Council. Chief Justice Butcher, you are recognized.
Well, I actually think everybody should wear powder wigs for Senate. I think we should definitely go back to like English Parliament. I think that'd be fantastic. Just kidding. Shout out Ben Roach of FROCO for letting me borrow his wig. Shout out FROCO. My meeting with Dr. Goodman, Dr. Arndt for the Codes Revision Committee went very well. I'm looking forward to working with them further. If you have any questions or would like to make a suggestion of that, feel free to talk to me or anyone else on the committee. I'm working on updating the codes. There's a bunch of bills I need to add, but I have 3 exams the next week, so it might take a couple more days, and I leave my time to questions.
The Chief Justice yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. We're now here to report from the Speaker of the Senate. I'm recognizing myself. Hi, guys. Just a few quick announcements, updates. Just a reminder that we have SG-Wide next Tuesday. It's going to be at 5:30. It's going to be in here. And our athletic director, Jeremiah Donati, is coming. That is like a big deal. Like, that guy is in charge of everything athletic. So that will be a fun person to come and talk to. He's going to be presenting the brand new plans for the Williams-Brice renovation, and he wants to get student feedback, and he's very student-centered. So I would highly recommend going. Don't forget, absence excuses for that are due 24 hours in advance, so 5:30 p.m. on Monday, because it's on Tuesday. Wear business professional just because we're going to have a guest there. If you have any questions, please let Addison know, but highly recommend that you guys are all there. It's also obviously required. Please make sure that you're turning in those excuses in advance. We are very lenient with excuses for this because we understand that you guys may have class, you may have work, things like that. But last time Addison got like inundated with excuses because everybody turned them in at like 5:25 p.m. on Monday. Like if you're sitting here right now and you're like, I know I have a class, just turn in that excuse when you get out of Senate tonight and just be done with it, and then you won't forget about it. I also met with Dr. Goodman, and it was a great meeting. If you guys have any suggestions, just like Elijah said, please, please, please let me know. I'm giving my suggestions, but I don't know y'all's thoughts. I'm not a mind reader, so please let me know. I've started my one-on-one meetings with senators who have only passed one piece of legislation or have passed 0. And if I'm not meeting with you, then my legislative aide, Loren, is meeting with you. Those meetings have been going really well. If you have not signed up for one of those meetings yet, please check your email. You would have gotten an email with a link to a Sign Up Genius. And if you don't sign up for one by this Sunday, you're going to get a follow-up email with the link again. So please make sure that you sign up. Love to see y'all's costumes, just like a general reminder, like as we continue on with the Senate session. We're not dealing with any issues right now, but like we're still following Robert's rules. We're still following our rules of decorum. Like let's just all kind of be respectful, even if we're in a dress down manner. And then kind of a more serious topic. You are going to notice that when you go back to the LSC this evening and then moving forward, there's signs that say that it's a no campaign zone. I cannot believe that we have to be talking about elections right now because it's literally October, but we should not be talking about elections. First off, it's just against the rules. This is like wildly inappropriate to be talking about it this far in advance. Please do not come to me about elections things if they are anything other than a general question. I'm happy to answer logistic questions about what the time commitment is to be an exec, what you have to do over the summer, things like that. If you're asking me personal questions or social questions or anything about campaigns, I don't know, and TBH, I don't want to know. It's also not fair to me or the other execs if we're spending time getting divisive over who's running for what and who's going to be rerunning next year and who's going to be not, because right now we're the ones in charge and we are working very hard to try and make student government a good organization, and we're trying to put good work in, but it's not fair to us or anybody else if we're all getting distracted on what's going to happen next year when y'all's position right now is just to be a student senator. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions about elections and they're general, please let me know or let our advisors know. But otherwise, no elections talk in the LSC. Hard stop. With that, I yield my time to questions. Senator Lemery. Oh yeah, you can. It was just when you were speaking, so we couldn't hear you. Yeah, you're okay. Senator Talaka. The SG Wide event, that's on a Tuesday. So it's next Tuesday at 5:30. That has been sent in the Student Government Wide Group Me, but I can put a reminder in our post-Senate email tonight. If Loren, you'll write that down. Senator Primus. First Tuesday of the month, every month. So if you are big planners and you would like to go through, you will have an SG Wide first Tuesday of every month until April. Senator Jacobson. Yeah, if you received that email, there was something in there that said if none of them work, please email back so we can figure it out. So if you looked at all those times and it didn't work for you, just send an email to Loren and we'll find a time that works. Any other questions? And also just general reminder, we don't have people who are super utilizing this form yet, but we have a form on Garnet Gate, and if you go to literally anything student government for an hour and you table and you take a picture there and you submit it on Garnet Gate, you'll get an unexcused absence excuse. Like, it's ridiculously easy to do that. All you have to do is just show up to one extra event a week. Please make sure that you're doing that. Like, it's in y'all's best interest. It saves y'all from having unexcused absences. Any other questions? Seeing none, we are now in line for a report from the student body treasurer. Treasurer Ashley Reynolds, you are recognized.
Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. Like Jack said, it was an amazing finance committee. We went through a lot of money, which was really exciting. We are on track to use the money the exact way we intended it to. The partial funding is working out great. We have about 15 to 16,000 just not like unrequested right now, so that's not including what's sitting in our Garnet Gate right now. So that's really exciting, and we're really happy. We have some graphs. I don't have them up on the slides today, but I'll probably attempt to show them next week. As far as reimbursements go, we're also looking good. We have 10 open reimbursements for somewhere between 10 and 11,000. We have 9 closed for 8,000. I did have a meeting with Ben Galloway and Parker Leak a couple weeks ago regarding the new reimbursement system. And so far, it's been a great success. It's making things really easy for the finance team, making things easy for us, which is really exciting. On another note, if you guys need funding, please remember to submit the internal purchase request forms like in a timely manner. Don't forget that you have to have a memo signed by a member of exec on those, which is kind of like what takes some time. So please just keep that in mind if you do need funding. Other than that, I yield my time to questions.
The student body treasurer yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the student body vice president. Vice President Jordan Richardson, you are recognized.
Hello. Oh, wow. Hello. You guys are all dressed up. Okay, hello. Sigma Free Week is this week and ends tomorrow. So thank you guys if you all come out and supported us. We've had a lot of great turnouts, and I don't know if you guys went to the puppy event last Friday, but wow, it's that event was really nice. Tomorrow's going to be Knowledge with Narcan. It's our last event. Owen, I got the time wrong. It's from 11 to 1. You're welcome. Got it wrong. But aside from that, programming is looking to partner with RHA for Sustainability Week from November 7th to November 12th. It's kind of like a last-minute collaboration thing, so more details to come on that. Next SUMF Street is November 13th. The details come a lot later next week too. And then we have a lot of things being posted this week, so just please make sure to continue to engage with Instagram. That's how we get more followers and more.
And it was posted.
So
Y'all better have reposted.
so just make sure to keep engaging with them or with the page so we can get as many followers as we can. Because my goal is 1,000 at the end of my trip. So, also, I know Halloween is this week, so please stay safe. Please come back here next Wednesday in one piece. That's all I have. So I yield my time to questions.
The student body vice president yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the student body president. President Courtney Tax, you are recognized.
You guys couldn't tell I'm alphaba right now. I know. Really went all out. Okay, so I have a good bit. So if you have any questions, please let me know. We are doing another Stuff the Bus next Thursday. We are in a dire need for food items, both at Harvest Hope and the Gamecock Community Shop. There's almost nothing in either of them, which is not good at all. So we will be doing another Stuff the Bus next Thursday. Next Thursday from 12 to 4. Please put it on your calendars. I will be sending out a sign-up genius to either help sort the items and or just be there to volunteer. I think I'm getting donuts. Very excited. If you guys didn't know, we just did a canned food drive against LSU. We actually knocked them out of the water. We beat them by a lot. So let's do it again because we are actually going against Clemson. There is an event called the Carolina Clemson Can Clash. Say that 5 times fast, my lord. But anyways, we will be going against them. This event falls in line with this event. So I'm working with their fraternity and sorority life, our fraternity and sorority life, their student government. So it's kind of an all-in event. Of course, we have the ultimate goal of just raising as many food items for families in South Carolina and students here at the university. Additionally, if there are any campus or community partners that would like to participate, we will be having a bus at the parking office on Hugie all week. So Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, anybody can come drop off anything. So I'm very, very excited for this. Please come out. Please bring canned food items. We really, really need them. Additionally, surprise, we're doing a Halloween Uber discount. Yay. So that's going to drop on Friday at 5 p.m. It's going to be $8 off. As Jordan was saying, please be safe. Please use your campus resources. Please communicate our campus resources. We have the night shuttle. We have Uber discounts. We have the Rave Guardian app. And please don't get hypothermia. I'm going to leave that at that, please. Today, I had a meeting with University Government Relations. Over the summer, I've been working with Clemson. I have a pretty good working relationship with their president about putting together an SC exchange with other universities here in South Carolina. We are tentatively going to be doing it January 24th, 2025. And I was looking at some past documents of what we've done, and they, at the end of the whole thing, wrote a proclamation. So I'm going to propose that we write a proclamation regarding city and county ordinances about living in the same house. If you didn't know, a lot of county ordinances have rules against 3 to 4 or more people living together, or else it's considered a brothel. So we're that affects us, Clemson, College Charleston. So if we can all get on the same page about that not being accessible for students, that'd be great. Additionally, I had a meeting with the SEC presidents this weekend, so I was able to ask some questions about what they're going through. We're actually pretty great as a university, pretty proud of us. But was able to pick their brains on a lot of topics that you guys are working on too. GR Survey Week is coming up, so that'll be the 6th, the 12th, and the 20th. They are currently getting things to pass out, so please fill out the GR survey. We're giving away a parking pass if you fill it out. And then reminder, Veterans Affairs is doing the Murph Challenge November 9th at 9 a.m. at Carolina CrossFit, and they're accepting donations, but it will be free to students, but there are 40 slots available. And then they'll also be tabling on November 11th from 11 to 2. So very excited for that. And then I just also wanted to give a little bit of a disclaimer. Just a reminder that SG is so that we can help students. And I just want to remind everyone to continuously think about their why and why they're here. We're not here to bring others down. We're not here to bring each other down. That is the last thing that's going to cause a very ineffective organization. So I just want to remind everyone to be kind. Remember your why. Focus on supporting the whole university. Focus on supporting your constituents, because that's what we're here for. We just love each other. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The student body president yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding vacancy applicants Hannah Littlefield, Turner Wilson, Jamie Ryan.
The nominees are referred to the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read? Hearing no more special orders of the Senate, we are now in the motion period. Are there any motions on the floor at this time? Chairwoman Diapolito. Does the sponsor find this amendment friendly or unfriendly? All right, seeing as the sponsor has found this amendment friendly, it is now adopted to SBL 117-104. Chairman Matthews. Does the sponsor find this friendly or unfriendly? Seeing as the sponsor has found this amendment friendly, it is now added to SBL 117-114. Chairwoman Diapolito. Does the sponsor find this friendly or unfriendly? Seeing as the sponsor has found this amendment friendly, the amendment is now adopted. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to add a bill to make finance language cohesive to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is added to the first reading calendar and granted the legislative number of SBL 117-124. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to add a bill to correct 2/3 language to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is added to the first reading calendar and granted the legislative number of 125. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to add a bill to condense Chapter 3 to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is added to the first reading calendar and granted the number of 126. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to table SBL 117-112 indefinitely. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is tabled indefinitely. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to add Chairwoman Diapolito to the Student Life Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Jacobson. Does the sponsor find this amendment friendly or unfriendly? Judiciary Committee. 125. Seeing as the sponsor has found this amendment friendly, the senator has been added as a co-sponsor. Senator Primus. There's been a motion to change Senator Primus's delegation to the School of Law. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Coulomb. There's been a motion to remove Senator Coulomb from the Liberties and Representations Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Coulomb. There's been a motion to add Senator Coulomb to the Finance Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Loosry. There's been a motion to remove Senator Loosry from the Student Life Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Loosry. There's been a motion to add Senator Loosry to the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Von Cannon. Granted. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette. Is there a motion to move to a period of debate on the question? Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed. Seeing no objections, we are now on a period of debate on the question to remove Senator Erler based on violation of the attendance policy. Do any senators wish to speak on this matter? Chairman Matthews.
Well, I'm not super informed as to why, this issue is being brought up. I understand Kayla missed some committee meetings. I think if we're going to do this, we got to have a more, a better discussion on how attendance policy is being enforced across all committees, whether or not it's being enforced the same way. I think that's a question that we should probably talk about before we remove people for this. I yield to questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, can we mark Senator Malcapucia as? Do any of the senators wish to speak on this matter? Chairwoman Diapolito.
I just want to come up and speak because she does have 2 unexcused absences in judiciary. Anyone in judiciary knows that I send out 2 days before and then another day before. If you're going to be absent, please let me or my chair or my vice chair know. I also acknowledge the fact that I'm horrible at GroupMe, so I send in my number. I've never received any text on why. I'm pretty lenient. If you even just tell me today's not the day, I need a mental health break, I would make you excuse. I'm pretty lenient with absences, but when there's no communication, it's very hard. And being a senator, we sign up to be present and do our duties. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette.
I know this is not the most fun part of Senate, but just as an FYI, Senator Erler has missed 2 unexcused in judiciary, and there are 2 unexcused in student life. There was 3, but there was a clarification to one of those, so it was excused. We are caught. No, she's not. No. Look, we are codified to do votes after 4. I've reached out to her. I reached out to anyone who is at 3. You should have gotten an email from me. We had a discussion one-on-one with Advisor Jessica Flack. We had a discussion. We cleared up a lot of the absences. However, it is 3 in Senate and 3 in committee. That's how it. Yes, it's 3, but at the 4th one is when we do the vote. It is after the 4th one. I know this is not a fun part of Senate. I know this is something that, even with me, it's like coming up here and having to do this. It's taking a hit to my stomach, but it's just what we're codified to do. I really advocate, and I think you should come up here and speak your piece. But there is always the ability to go to Constitutional Council if you are removed. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The Speaker pro tempore yields his time to questions. Chairwoman Gopal.
Yeah, actually, that was what our discussion was about, and it was clarified with the speaker as well. She had missed 4, I want to say. Was it 4 or 5 in Senate?
I'm going to germane this topic of conversation just because this is about committee absences, not Senate absences. And the senator hasn't violated the Senate absences.
Point is, it was clear though. It was clear though. Any other questions? Actually, one more thing. Another thing is just keeping clear and open communication with the speaker. That's codified. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Do any other senators wish to speak on this matter? Chairman Spurgeon.
I just wanted to talk about the absences from my committee. It's just simply communication. There's no way to know. And we've gotten excusals almost a month late. That's really just what it is. We don't know. Every other senator in the committee, no matter what it is, can't make it. Life happens. That's okay. That's an excusal. Usually, every other senator has a lot of stuff they're working on and contributes a lot of the time and sends in notes for what they would like or asks for notes about what was discussed. Yeah, it's as simple as that. I highly encourage the senator to come up and discuss that, but from a committee chair perspective, we don't know. That's why they're asking. I yield the questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Do any other senators wish to speak on this matter? Senator Hopkins and then Senator Iftikhar.
I guess they're not showing up on the absence tracker, but it's getting better now. But especially at the beginning of the term, I also would always send out my number or say like, if you can't make it, let me know, because I will always excuse someone if they just text me. But there were at least 3 occasions where I did not hear anything. So, yield the questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, do any other senators wish to speak on this matter? Senator Iftikhar? Senator Kirby? All right, there's been a motion to limit debate to 1 minute. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed. That is have it. I'm going to start a timer. So we've got 1 minute. Senator Iftikhar, you can begin.
Yeah, I think it's sort of important to point upon the language of the codes, and I think it's pretty clear and unambiguous about the absence policy, which is 4% time for committee. And the aforementioned senator actually she violated that and she exceeded her committee absences. And secondly, I feel as an organization and even in committees, we're pretty lenient and flexible about absences. I know I've been asked many times and providing justification for that, and that's been accepted. So I just wanted to reach out and communicate about any troubles you might have been. If it's something you want to talk about, there's Jessica and other people you can talk to. Yeah. Thank you.
Questions? Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. All right. Do any other? We have 4 seconds, but. Okay. Seeing as the debate has been limited to a period of 1 minute, is there a motion to call the question? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We will now vote on the question as to whether or not to remove the senator based on violation of the absence policy. A vote of aye in the affirmative is for the removal of the senator, and a vote of nay in the negative is for the non-removal of the senator. It's going to be a roll call vote, so please enunciate your words when your last name is called. Thank you. The clerk will call the roll.
Aloka, Anderson, Baldinger, Venegas, Frazier,
What was that last one? Okay, please Be a little bit louder. Thank you guys. Sorry, it's just hard to hear up here.
Pullum, Koviak, Tumby, Sapolito, Lusry, Matthews, Manwarren, Middleton, Monica, Wakapusia, Pickford, Primus, Ryan, Sams, Sanders, Santiago Cedillo, Sheridan, Bergen, Filkert, Tapia, Talaka, Violet, Montanan, Walker, Watley.
Have all senators voting in present answered the call? Awesome. Motion for a brief recess to just tabulate. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. sorry, that took a second. Just had to do some researching. So the final vote was 22 ayes to 22 nays to 3 abstentions, which is a tie vote. Per Robert's rules, on a tie vote, the chair casts a vote. So I will be voting, and I will be voting aye in the affirmative. So the senator will be removed. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Seeing no more motions, is there a motion to dispense of this motion period? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We are now on the call of the introduction of new legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-114, sponsored by the Finance Committee, a recommendation to permit the Finance Committee to allocate funds.
Chairman Matthews, you are recognized.
Alrighty, so this bill this week is, again, we reviewed $47,000 and approved $42,000 to the orgs listed in the bill. I yield to questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Senator Hunter. There's been a motion to pass SBL 117-114 by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, this legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-115, sponsored by School of Music Delegation, a resolution to recognize Green Street Records.
The School of Music delegation is now recognized.
So this is pretty simple. This is a resolution by the School of Music recognizing Green Street Records. It's the the student run music label here at the school. And so, I think it's pretty interesting. They are going to be putting out a little single mixtape, I think, coming in sometime in January. So your classmates might be on that. Okay. We yield for questions.
Speaker Pro Tempore Violette. Chairman Spurgeon, do you have a question? Oh, okay. Motion to pass SBL 117-115 by unanimous consent. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. The legislation has now been adopted. Chairman Spurgeon. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Von Cannon as Senator Spurgeon's proxy. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. Chairman Spurgeon. Granted. Senator Cassetti. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Walker as Senator Cassetti's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Cassetti. Granted. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-116, sponsored by Senators Walker, Violette, Talaka, Fry, Iftikhar, Von Cannon, Jacobson, Sam. A recommendation to paint a mural in the Darla Moore School of Business Tunnel.
The sponsors are recognized.
Hi, everyone. I look like Judge Judy, but that's what I'm supposed to be. Thanks, Daniel, for the idea. Hi, everyone. So all of us have already gotten a brief introduction to this legislation by Mara. She's awesome. So essentially, it's about the Darla Moore Tunnel. I plan to have a mural painted in it. I will say, before I introduce this to you guys, I already have it in plan. It has already been approved by facilities. They are fully on board with it. And it's the designer. I have a designer. Her name is Sam Powell. She is already working on the design, and it's said to be completed in November. She gave me a very detailed outline, like a 5-page outline for each section. So if any of you guys will love to see the outline, I will love to email it to you. I just didn't want to email if you weren't interested, but if you do, just come to me after Senate and that kind of thing. And I also will go to say, as far as painters go, after the design is done, it has to be improved and stuff by the marketing school and by facilities, which that won't be a problem, I don't think, because facilities is on board. So as far as painters go, I have a connection with a lady, I believe her name, give me a second. Her name is Megan Bickle. She'll be providing me the students to come and paint the design. As far as supplies go, you're probably asking who would pay for that. Facilities is fully on board to pay for that out of their $28 million budget, I believe. So it's only a couple $1 million out of that. As for the date, you may be wondering when this will be occurring. Okay, there's an issue with this. Facilities probably the one approving and choosing the date for this, because as a senator, I can recommend a date and a time, but at the end of the day, that's up to facilities to choose that. I'm thinking in the spring next time, but I will talk with them about that once it gets closer to that time, once the design's done and approved. And also once the design's done, I would love to show you guys all of that. And yeah, if you guys have any recommendations, requests, anybody I can reach out to, or if you would simply love to help, I would love to have your support. And yeah, I'm gonna let some of my lovely co-sponsors talk on this. Okay, I'm gonna skip the card.
Yeah, so I completely support whatever Brooke has said. I think it would be a great addition to this, to that panel between the Collegium and the School of Citizenship. I think it would add value aesthetically to the campus, and it will beautify the campus, for lack of a better word. And also, I hope we're just looking like the usual suspects over here, 2025 editions. I just feel very well. You want to add something?
My time as Speaker Pro Tempore, which has only been like 2 months, I have never seen such a well thought out, well planned piece of legislation. No offense, Lennox. I know you've had some pretty good stuff, but this is so well thought out, well planned. This has been in the mind of Walker for what, a month, 2 months? Before she was a senator. I really support this piece. That's what I'm saying.
I think most of the senators have kind of made this point clear, but we have an opportunity to do something great with this piece. I think all of the connections are there, and I think that we'd really be missing a great opportunity here if it was voted down. So, thank you.
I would like to add, even if it's voted down, it'll still be happening in the nicest way possible. So, okay, and that's everything I have. I can go more in detail about it with the second reading calendar if needed. If any of you guys want to reach out and get more specifics, because it is a big piece, there's a lot of connections interworking, and I will be reaching out to facilities soon regarding pay. One senator had reached out about that, about how the students will be getting paid, so that I'll talk to facilities about, because it likely will be coming out of their or the school's budget somewhere. But yeah, if there's anything you guys think I should reach out and ask, or if you guys like to sit in a meeting with them, I probably will do in the future, just let me know. And now you have my time to questions.
The senators yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Davis.
It's a school spirit theme design. As I have said in the speech, there's a very detailed outline. So if you would like to see it, I can email it to you. Just let me know after Senate. Because of time, I will not be going over every single part, but it's school spirit theme essentially.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to launch a study zone map of study in collaborative spaces on campus.
Senator Lewis, you are recognized.
So basically, let me just say this real quick by starting off this. This is a pretty simple recommendation here. Basically, we've got some study cubbies and study rooms, study lounges on the school. We don't even know where they at, to be honest. You can walk around here, get lost, and just end up studying somewhere. So what I want to do is, if you look on our website, we already have an interactive map on there that you can move around. So we want to put, I'm recommending that we put the study areas on this map so students can have access to them all in one place, so you know where to study at. Because it is ridiculous that when I go out here in Russ House, I can't even get a chair to sit down and study in. Outside, I can't, but there's so many open places that nobody's utilizing. just the other day, I went upstairs and there's a balcony, a little patio area on Gambrell, and you can study out there. That needs to be put on there. Darla Moore has a little patio area too, so all these places need to be put on there where people can study and things, where they can study and things like that. I think it's pretty simple, but we'll see. With that, I yield for questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Manwaring. Good to know. Any other questions? Senator Sanders.
That's a good question. See, what I was saying was the map is already on the school website, and what we're going to just integrate on the website and then just like push it out and say, here, students, access this map right here. But you know how we've been modernizing the things? Of course, we want to put it also, maybe we can get some kind of app out of this too. We can just get it on our phones and we don't have to pull up the internet no more, which I've been trying to get the school to see.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Academics Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read. Senator Aloco. Granted.
SBL 117-118, sponsored by Chairperson Doppolito and Chairperson Gopel, a recommendation to implement clear signage on trash and recycling cans.
Hey guys, this one is pretty simple. It's for clear signage on trash and recycling, because if you couldn't tell, it's not very clear. It's only the bags that are different colors. This can make it very easy for people to throw recycling into trash like I just did recently, which undermines the sustainability efforts of our campus and our university. And it also, fun fact, if you throw a piece of trash into recycling, will contaminate the entire load, and then that will be in a landfill instead of getting recycled. And
I know I've been passing a lot of pieces about recycling too, but this is like recycling that's already on campus, but just like making it more clear of like which is trash and which is recycling.
we yield our time to questions.
The chairperson yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Sustainability Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-119, sponsored by the Academics Committee, a recommendation to explore developing an official relationship with Corsical to address student registration difficulties.
The sponsors are recognized. Senator Keenan. Granted.
Gonna give the rest of the committee time to come up here if they so choose. Okay.
And y'all can stay up there because you have the next piece as well.
Yep.
And the next one. Oh, wait, no, sorry, just the next one.
So
Chairwoman Diapolito. Granted.
All right. So this piece is to essentially ask the school to develop a official relationship with the already existing app called Corsical. The specific wording was chosen very deliberately. A lot of the time, these kinds of things, when you talk about the words like partnerships, that kind of thing, it can mean a lot of weird stuff with funding and integration, those kind of things that may not always be official, functioning things that work. But this is kind of just asking the school to look at possibly working with Corsical to have more integration, or just even talking back and forth between our school and them. Corsical, if you don't know what it is, essentially is a free-to-use public information scraper app. Essentially what it does is it goes from public information about registrar, all those kinds of things, and helps you build schedules. I know a lot of students have expressed, and even with a piece of legislation that came through recently, well, not recently, but in this term, about schedule planner kind of going poof in the registration process. A lot of students have actually been using this app to kind of meet that need because it has a lot of those same schedule comparison features, but for free. And you can do that. They also have other features that you can do with a paid add-on of about $5 per semester, which is very inexpensive, but if we added that as part of the school, could be helping get that decreased. But you can do things where it tracks your homework for you. There's chats you can have within your major, your college, those kinds of things. So it would be a great thing for the university to look at possibly having a relationship with them. And with that, I'm going to let any of my fellow peoples speak about what they have looked at with this.
Did Lennox mention this is $0? Forsyth costs $0 to the university.
As of right now.
There is also a group chat feature which could be useful for building any sort of community.
Oh, love community. Any questions?
So from the chat feature overall, you are able to do personal DMs and also make big group chats. It just has kind of pre-made ones. So one that's more common is if you were in a specific major, you can actually put that in your account when you register for that use of app. And what it does is once you show that you're in a major, it's going to go, hey, here's all of the other users that are within your school that also are in this major. Go connect with them. And this is also students that are currently enrolled and even sometimes alumni if they still have the emails up and running.
Senator Mwakapasia. I'm gonna point of information that one just because I might be able to give a more educated response on just this. Basically, everything that we do at our school, it's kind of hard to tell because like it's got all the Gamecock branding on it, but all of it's third-party apps already. I don't really know how else to describe that. Like Garnet Gate, for example, like we've talked about that in the past. Like Garnet Gate is just like a website that we have a contract with, and then we made it Gamecock themed. It's not technically our website.
Point of information, we have the best name, one of those. Tiger Quest is the clumsy one. That's such a bad name.
But yeah, from that point, I can also give a piece of information too, I guess. Like for example, with housing, we actually buy out through a company called Starres. We use it and make it all Gamecocky, but it is actually a third-party company, and today there was an outage, and so we were looking about like, hey, why'd this happen? So it's one of those things that like this would be something where we would encourage the school to possibly look at integrating it with what our current systems are and or possibly just having discounts because there is a paid feature which is oftentimes being used to track seats. So you may think of students who you're trying to get into a class, you only have this one section, you have to be in it or you're not going to graduate. You can actually use that app to tell you when, like if that section is full, you can have it watch it for you. And because it's a public data scraping server, what it does is once that seat becomes published, which is published to the entire school, it will pop up on your phone to show that that seat is open. In the free version, it only tracks that one class. If you pay that $5 per semester, you can track unlimited classes. So you can imagine how that'd be useful for a transfer student, someone who's first gen, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's purely pulling off of public data. It doesn't actually do any integration with the school as of current, and it's like I said, a free application. So as of right now, it's not costing the university anything. It's just working off public information. And with how good of an app it is already, just scraping public data, you can imagine how much better it would be if it could show the professor, if it could show the location, and even sometimes like if there's fees or other course attributes, it would be kind of cool.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read. Senator George. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Primus as Senator George's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator George. Granted.
SBL 117-120, sponsored by the Academics Committee, a recommendation to expand student advocacy's definition of immediate family for excused absence request.
The sponsors are recognized.
All right. Totally different than what we were just talking about. But this is essentially a piece to look at what the current definition and process with excused absences looks like for the death of immediate family members. It's definitely a hard topic, so I know it may be kind of thing to feel anxious about it. But essentially what we're looking at is the policy right now, through student advocacy, so the office that helps get absence excused, is that a immediate family member is defined explicitly as parent, spouse, child, sibling, spouse of sibling, grandparent, grandchild, legal guardian, or legal guardian as immediate family members. The problem with this, there's a lot, unfortunately, is that A, it's up to professor discretion if it's not those. So your professor could look at you and say, I don't think your aunt's close enough to you to have an excused absence. And even though that's a death of your family member, you cannot get an excused absence. And this is happening for students. I know of 3 people off the top of my head that I work with that have had this happen. But this also does not reflect modern day family dynamics. A lot of people do not have a typical nuclear family. It would not represent non-custodial family members. So if you're thinking about people who are dealing with foster care, if you're dealing with people who there may be step parents, things involved where there's not legal guardianship, those kinds of things, or even situations where you may not have biological family members, but you have gone to stay with your best friend's family for the entirety of your life, but they don't have guardianship with you. If one of those family members, in this case, dies, friends, anything like that, you would not be able to have a guaranteed excused absence. And that's just not student focused, and it's not student forward. And so we're just essentially asking the Student Advocacy Office to expand the current definition to include those things, because we're already giving absences, excused absences for that, but professor discretion, so we should just expand it to that it's student advocacy just says is excused. But, and if you have some,
Any questions?
yeah, we yield to questions.
Senator Lewis.
It's not explicitly mentioned in the website as to what it's referring to. A lot of times, at least from personal experience from having done research about what immediate family definitions are, oftentimes it is kind of vague and state to state. But even if it is based off of state law, it also is still missing parts of state law. State of South Carolina, for example, does have situations with Child Protective Services, or what is called DSS in the state, where there are situations where if your biological parents are not good to be with you, or vice versa, you may end up in a situation where you are with their family friend, their sibling, their cousin or something, but you don't have legal guardianship appointed, because the aim of the state is to try to get y'all back together. And then if you are 17 and age out, become 18, that's what your previous name would be going off of. So even if you were possibly with that person for like 4 to 5 years, they didn't technically have legal guardianship based off of how the state handles stuff, but you still wouldn't get an excused absence. So that's even a spot where it's leaving out how current state law functions.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Seeing no further questions, this legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-121, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation for clearer accountability and enforcement of university housing policy.
Senator Lewis, you're recognized. I also want to re-speak right there. I incorrectly referred that piece of legislation is going to the Health and Safety Committee, SBL 120, absences. Bingo.
So basically, this recommendation right here is focusing on improving accountability and, consistency when it comes to university housing policies. So, we're students, they live in houses, residence halls and dorm rooms and things like that. And sometimes there can be like a mixed confusion, or some wonky things, may happen when it comes to these policies and procedures and pamphlets, whatever they call them, they give out to students, things like that. And so this recommendation is, if you read it and look at it, is basically asking them to review their policies, to review their procedures and how they're passing them out, and give clear transparency for the students. Now, I didn't say anything about changing the policy at all in this recommendation, because I don't think, that's really my place. But what I'm saying is, though, is that we need clear transparency. When you got RAs and you got housing staff, they all over the place. They're not really enforcing the rules properly. They're not putting clear messages out properly and things like that. It causes and creates a confusion. So basically what I'm saying is, and basically what the recommendation is saying, is for that consistency. And it also asks for them to be more consistent when it comes to off-campus housing. Now, if anyone has dealt with the office of off-campus housing, you know that they might not respond to your emails, your phone calls. You can't even get to the office sometimes. So it's asking for those policies to be clarified as well. What this is ultimately going to do is make this stuff more transparent for students. I said from day one, we are not going to have an office and get a key and lock the door. And USC Housing is not going to do that. If a student has a problem with a policy, a procedure, or anything, they should be able to go to the staff. They should be able to go to the RAs. They should be able to find the information on the website, and it should not be nothing tricking them. It should all be transparency and open to the students.
Point of information before we go to questions, there's only currently one staff member for the entire off-campus living. And he works in the LSC. His name's Dorenzo.
So that, we might need to get another staff member, to really help with this. Yeah, I'm gonna get you a question on this one.
Any questions? Senator Sheridan.
No, that's not what I'm saying. According to the recommendation, it states that I'm asking them to review their policy and procedures, implementation, and more transparency. So I'm not saying about changing anything about the policy. What I'm saying is that if you're in one building and they're doing the policy one way, but you're in another building and they're working that same policy, but it's being enforced differently, that's not being transparent.
Speaker Pro Tempore Violette. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Manwaring as Speaker Pro Tempore Violette's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette. Granted. Senator Jacobson. Would you like me to, do you know the answer? I can point of information.
I mean, I have an answer. I just am thinking.
Oh, no, you're okay. No, you can answer the question.
What I was going to say is that the off-campus housing, they was like off-campus housing, like if you like the affiliated partners and stuff like that with USC to help with things like that, like off-campus housing fair, they host those and things like that. But, have you been there before? No, the office. Okay.
Point of information, the off-campus housing is Dorenzo. He's one person. They unfortunately don't have an office. He's on the lawn in the LSC, but he handles off-campus housing and then like relations. Like if a student's having a legal issue with their lease, like he'll give them contacts of like you could go to free legal services. And then he also handles neighborhood relations. So like if there's a elderly couple that lives on Rosewood and they're like, these USC students are messing up my yard, he would be the person who would handle that phone call first. Senator Fry. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Walker as Senator Fry's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Fry. Granted. Chairman Matthews. There's been a motion to appoint Chairwoman Hopkins as Chairman Matthews' proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairman Matthews. Granted. Senator Iftikhar.
No, that's not what I'm saying. According to the recommendation, it is
Senator Iftikhar, I feel as though this question's been asked and answered, so I'm just going to restate what the senator said. It sounds like he was saying that there's one policy, but that in some residence halls, he feels as though it's being enforced more strictly, less strictly, as opposed to another. So nothing about changing, just restating what he's saying, nothing about changing the policy, nothing about making it more transparent. It's just the enforcement of the policy.
let me just say this. This is what the recommendation says. It says that it is action for University Housing to review its current enforcement and accountability methods for resident halls and rental and focus on all university management properties for housing and improving communication with residencies regarding policy, violation, and appeals for better collaboration and with the Office of Off-Campus Living and Neighborhood Relationships for consistent behavior expectations in university field housing near campus. So what it's saying is that it's not saying anything about, I'm not writing any policy here at all. It says nothing about a policy. What it's saying is for better transparency, communication, and as our speaker said, is that policy could be enforced one way in one housing. You go to another housing, it can be enforced another way, but that is the same policy. Let me give you a better example on this. If a RA has seen a violation in a dorm and she's referring someone to, let's say student conduct, but the same violations and many more are going on in other dorms, but that policy is not being enforced that strict, how is that being really fair and transparent to these students?
Any other questions? Chairperson Koviak, do you have a question? If not, there's another question.
I think it's 100% needed overall because it just better help everyone.
1 second, sorry. Chairwoman Diabolito, do you have an interruptible motion? All right, there's been a motion to limit the questioning period to a period of 1 more minute. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The period is limited for 1 minute. I'm going to start the timer now.
I do think it's 100% needed overall because it's going to give transparency and accountability for everything. It may be, an incident happened in one building, but that thing needs to be for everyone. We don't need to be singling out one building. They could be, we could be having, they could be running illegal game rooms in some of these dorms. We don't know.
Senator Iftikhar.
Yeah, that goes back to the transparency and accountability when it comes to these enforcement of these policies and rules like that. So having properly trained RAs and things like that, and the students know about these rules and things
That's
like that.
the end of 1 minute. You can finish your statement, Senator Lewis, but no more questions.
Yeah, basically what I was saying was that it's not advocating for the creation of any policy things like it's advocating for transparency and accountability and things like that of a whole.
All right. Seeing as the question period has been ended, this legislation is now referred to the Health and Safety Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-122, sponsored by Chairperson Diapolito, a bill to update college names.
Chairwoman Diapolito, you're recognized.
This bill is to just make sure that all the colleges are represented accurately in the delegation part of the codes. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Nwakpusia. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Academics Committee. Chairman Hunter. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Iftikhar as Senator Hunter's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Hunter. Granted. Senator Walker-Lucia. 122. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-123, sponsored by Chairperson Doppolito, a bill to amend Chapter 2, Article 3 and 4 of the code.
Chairwoman Doppolito, you are recognized.
This is just to clarify and condense that section of the codes. It's similar to what I did last time where I clarified and condensed Articles 1 and 2. If anyone has any specific questions, we will probably be going over it in judiciary. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation has to do with Senate, so it's being referred to all committees. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-124, sponsored by the Judiciary Committee, a bill to make finance language cohesive to the first reading calendar.
The Judiciary Committee is recognized.
Right now, earlier in the finance codes, it says that finance can approve, partially approve, or deny. Somewhere else in the codes, it says approve or deny, so this just to keep the language the same. Shout out Senator Jacobson for the realization. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Finance Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-125, sponsored by the Judiciary Committee and Senator Jacobson, a bill to correct 2/3 language to the first reading calendar amendment.
The sponsors are recognized.
I like this one. There are portions where 2/3 is written like 7 different ways. It's really annoying. Some of them use an RDS, some of them use RD, some of them put them in parentheses and say what word it is. It's not consistent at all. Thank you.
And this makes that consistent. We yield our time to questions.
The sponsors yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to all committees. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-126, sponsored by the Judiciary Committee, a bill to condense Chapter 3 to the first reading calendar.
The sponsors are recognized.
This one is just taking out any repetition or filler words in the finance codes to make them more clear to read. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Finance Committee. Continuing on with the call of the new legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, that completes the call of the new legislation. We are now on the call of the uncontested legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-107, sponsored by Senator Gopel, a recommendation to increase the availability of recycling bins on Davis Field, Green Street, Blackfield, and external residential buildings.
Senator Gopel, you are recognized. Senator Jacobson. No, it's okay. I may have misread the bill, but I thought that it had to do with more just the Finance Committee. Okay, well, I sent it to all committees at this point, so. Yep.
Okay, so this is the one that was a joint legislation with RHA. Like I talked about last week, I had a meeting with them just to see what we could kind of work with them on. And we came up with the recycling bins on Davis Field, Davis Circle, Blackfield, and Green Street, because there's not many recycling bins, and that's where a lot of events happen. So like when events are happening or being cleaned up, there should be recycling bins for people to properly recycle. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-108, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to host a South Carolina Student Government Conference.
Senator Lewis, you are recognized.
This is pretty simple. You already heard a major update from Courtney about this. Hopefully this passes instead of meeting with our advisor, Jessica. to make sure this is going fairly and right way. With that, I yield for questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Yay. Continuing on with the call of the the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-109, sponsored by the Judiciary Committee, a bill to revise Section 3420.
The sponsors are recognized.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I got up way too early. This is just removing an incorrect reference, simplifying some things, renumbering, and removing a repeated statement. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-110, sponsored by the Judiciary Committee, a bill to remove the responsibility of acceptable forms for allocation requests to the Office of the Student Body Treasurer.
The sponsors are once again recognized.
This is just moving the response. This is the title. That's really basically what's going on. There was some concerns that I marked out point A in 3-4-10, and I didn't switch the rest, but that is something Elijah can do because it's non-substantial. And then, yeah, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Continue on with the call of the uncontested legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-111, sponsored by the Judiciary Committee, a bill to avoid repetition in Section 3510.
The sponsors are once again recognized.
This is just taking out a statement or two, I guess, that were already previously stated in the finance codes. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested calendar, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, that completes the call of the uncontested legislation. We are now on the call of the contested legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 117-104, sponsored by Chairperson Doppolito, a bill to clarify the Student Government Advocacy Bureau code.
The sponsor is recognized.
The only reason this is on the contested calendar is because I carried it over. But this again is just clarifying our government relations codes, putting things in the correct places so that it reads very well, and also taking out all of the requirements for interviews. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Jacobson. There's been a motion to pass SBL 117-104 by voice vote. Is there a second?
Second.
Without objection, so ordered. Any other questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. That was a great use of emotion, so good job to you. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 117-113, sponsored by the Judiciary Committee, a bill to adjust the oath of office code.
The Judiciary Committee is recognized.
So at first, we saw a little pushback on this bill just because it really says only incoming officers and anyone that is confirmed has to take their oath of office, where previously it said all student government members must take their office. But there's actually no precedent for this. The only reason we started doing all members was because Elijah realized this was in the codes and we were not following that. Also, the Constitution trumps the codes, and right now the Constitution says that incoming officers have to be take their oath of office, elected senators, and then also every member of the Constitutional Council. Appointed members are as requested or as needed, so that would be up to the discretion of the codes. after discussing it a lot further with senators, the Constitutional Council, and advisors, it just makes sense to keep it as just the elected officials, senators, and Constitutional Council members, not appointed members, because as we've seen, Elijah has been running around like crazy trying to get everyone in to take their oath of office. Also, once you open that gate, it kind of adds who's responsible for if they get their oath of office. Is there a certain time period they have to take it? Because right now, confirmed senators take it once they're confirmed or like next available, and then elected senator or confirmed members take it then, and elected officials and senators take it at inauguration. Also, one more thing, I know that confirmed offices isn't just the Constitutional Council, but we also discussed that people like chief of staffs and directors do get confirmed by the Senate, so they would take their oath of office too. This is just because it just makes sense. Like, our directors are gonna hold us accountable. Our directors are taking the oaths of office to hold us accountable. Right now, GR just got a lot of new members, and personally, I just swore in someone recently, and we've been scrambling like crazy to get everyone sworn in. So this is just to clear all of that up and make it very clear. I yield my time to questions.
Just a point of information that might be a good clarifier. Outside of Senate, the 4 execs, and Constitutional Council, anybody else in the organization, trying to get a good way to word this, not that they can get like fired, but like they can be removed from their position at any time. Like if somebody's on cabinet and they're not executing their duties correctly, it's the right of the student body president to just say you're not going to be a cabinet member anymore because you're not doing a good job. Versus in student senate, an exec member, Constitutional Council, I can't just fire one of you guys. Like we would have to remove you. A executive member would have to be impeached and removed. So if that also clears some things up.
Yes.
Any questions?
I really quick would also like to add that this makes our Constitutional Council very less effective and efficient because they can't focus on other work other than swearing people in or seeing if they're sworn in. I yield.
All right.
Officially.
The senator yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Lewis.
To be honest, I am going to refer you to their section of the codes because they do have a lot of duties, and I don't think it's an efficient way to spend our time right now of going through those pages.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a period of debate on this matter. Senator Jacobson. There's been a motion to pass by voice vote. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. We will now move to pass this legislation by voice vote. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the contested calendar, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now in line for a period of open discussion. Does any senator wish to bring a matter of attention to the body? Speaker Pro Tempore Violette.
Hey everyone. I know what happened today was not fun for everyone. There is always your right as a senator to change the absence policy if you feel like it is offensive in any way. I mean, yeah, with that I yield my time to questions.
The Speaker Pro Tempore yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are still in the period of open discussion. Does any senator wish to bring a matter of attention to the body? Seeing none, we are now in line for a period of announcements. Are there any announcements from the floor? Senator Mwakapusia. You can stay there. All right. Senator Primus. All the proceeds go to Dance Marathon, just repeating. Senator Poviak. All right, any other announcements? I have a ridiculously quick one. I promise it's gonna be super, super fast. Please be safe this Halloween weekend. Please dress appropriately. Don't wear any costumes that you're not gonna want on your job application in 25 years. They'll always come back around and bite you in the butt. And then also, I just truly am sorry that I had to vote. That's really unfortunate. As speaker, I try to be as impartial as possible, but I just hope each and every one of y'all know that it is very, very easy to get absences excused. Like ridiculously easy. If you just come and have a conversation with me, I am going to excuse it 9.99999 times out of 10. I just do want to have respect for our time and for all the time of our chairpersons and anybody else who puts a lot of effort into this body. And at the same time, I just also want to remind y'all that anything student government, you just got to go, you just got to take a selfie and you get an absence excuse. And it's really just as easy as that. And it will be fun. I promise. Most of the time you get free food and free drinks. If you have any questions about the attendance policy, please let me know, but it's very easy to get something excused and it's very easy to convince me to excuse something. Any other announcements? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. The Senate will now stand adjourned until Wednesday, November 5th, 2025.